Hello, everyone. Welcome to Paradigm Shift. Here we teach you how to dramatically improve the quality of your life. Today we have um, another topic when it comes to college admissions. When you see my nephew here, that's what we're talking about. So once again, I welcome everyone to Paradigm Shift, and we are going to talk more about. We are going to pick it up from where we ended the other time. So today the topic is going to be U.S. college admissions, expose, merit, money, or connections. That's what we will be talking about today. But before we start, I would like you to, like, share, and subscribe. If everything we're doing here, um, you like, and you want us to continue to do it, you want to put us up front. And for us to put us up front, these days it's all about algorithms. The more you share, the more you like, it's going to put us here so that we'll continue doing what we're doing, so that good people will hear this message, then everyone will benefit from what we're doing. Absolutely. So every Wednesday we are here also talking about, we talk to a lot of folks about what they actually have been doing with their life, what we do with our life, or whatever happens, especially in our finances, what we know about finance. And we can see a lot of folks are not doing good. That means whatever we have or whatever we had, it's not that great. So there are people that are getting more exposed to different financial education, financial knowledge, financial literacy, and they want to do more. But some people, they just scared to go forward. Paradigm shift, we talk to people that have been able to move forward when they got this message. So when you join us and you hear people that have been able to move forward, and you also get this message and you are still standing still, it energizes you to move forward. That's why I encourage you to join Paradigm Shift every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, US time, and GMT is 9. I think it's 1 hour up now, so it's 9 p.m. GMT. So join us on Wednesday, and hearing people telling their stories gives you a different lens of how finances are done. So again, let's come back to our topic. It's U.S. college admissions, expose, merit, money, or connections. Introduce yourself. Then we go from here.
All right. Thank you, Uncle
Patrick. I was trying so hard not to mention your name. I want you to mention your own name.
Appreciate you, Uncle Patrick. And I'm really glad to be back. Thank you for having me back, by the way. And hi, everyone. My name is Anthony. I'm an admissions officer at an Ivy League institution. And I'm really excited to be back talking about college admissions. I've been working in this space for about 2 years, but I've been in this space for about 6 years now, first as a student, now as an administrator. And so it's really cool to be back and to be able to talk a little bit about it. And right now I'm like in the midst of reading applications. So it's really cool to be here and be able to talk about things that I'm doing as I'm coming back from work. So I'm excited.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. You've written an application now, right? It's about time.
Yeah.
Hey, Tony, we're very glad to hear, to see you back. The first talk that we did, a lot of folks liked it and they wanted you back. So here you are. Again, U.S. college admissions. And it's good you're reviewing it now. You can get us more information now, Mm-hmm. So let's pick it up from where we ended, right? The other time you told us a lot about, how admissions are done, especially, we parents, or most of us, thought it was all about grades. Mm. So, the way you review all these things show us that, yes, grades is good, very important, but it doesn't have to be that alone.
Yeah.
Welcome everyone for joining us. This was a quick one, so if you have questions, you can put it in the chat, and you can put it in the chat for Tony is here to answer. We'll do our best. If I can, also I will help. So my first question will be, if admissions were true merit based, right? Mm-hmm. why does students with perfect GPAs and
Mhm.
test scores still get rejected every year? It looks as
Mercy.
if we talk about this, but we didn't go very deep because
Yeah.
we always hear about merit, and some people got it all, but they still can't get in.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. So let's talk about merit. There's this idea in the United States that we have the meritocracy. Merit
Mhm.
from this word, well, merit, just meaning that you're doing something or you're earning something, quality of being good or worthy of deserving, right?
Mhm.
And ocracy from the Greek for kratos of like of ruling, the rule of those who deserve it. It's like in contrast to aristocracy, where it's the aristocrats, those who are by nature or by birth having earned the right, have not earned the right to rule, but by birth have that. In
Mhm.
America, the idea is that if you can work hard enough, if you can earn enough in terms of like doing well in your classes and getting the best grades, then if you work hard enough at your job, you can achieve something. And what is that something? The American dream, right? And so when students come through this process of applying to college and they're applying with their 4.0 GPAs and their 1600 plus perfect SAT scores, 36 perfect ACT score, they look at it and they're like, wow, I am the perfect student. I should get into everywhere. And unfortunately, that's not always the case, even when you're applying to the best schools in the country. The reason why that is because the American college application process for a lot of colleges is what we call holistic, meaning that we look at everything, not
Mhm.
just your grades, but we're looking at what classes did you take in order to get those grades. We're looking at the type of school you went to in order to do well in your education.
So
Because
let me stop you. Let me stop you right here.
Mhm.
So you're talking about what classes to get you there. So
Yeah,
if somebody took like cheap classes, okay, every class
yeah.
is, I don't want to say cheap, but
Right.
it's tough. So let's say some classes are, a little bit harder. So you mean if somebody took like hard classes and somebody took, very like soft, if I say cheap, forgive me, it's not cheap, maybe it's a little bit soft. That means, and if they have the same score, they have the same everything. So
Mhm.
that person is going to jump ahead. Is that what you're saying?
It's and this is the thing that you'll hear a lot from missions officers. It depends.
Mhm.
Let's say we have two students who are going to the same school. It doesn't matter in this example if it's public, private, parochial, whatever. But let's say you have two students who are going to the same school. If one student, let's call him student A, is taking a class, and it's like a standard level class, most students are taking that type of class in that school, and they get a good grade in it. That's great, but it's not as impressive as, say, a student that's taking a much harder class. In America, we have both advanced placement classes. These are classes that are given by the College Board,
Mhm.
the organization that administers SAT tests and also helps process a lot of applications. And it also runs what's called advanced placement classes. These are supposed to be college level classes that you can take in high school. And so many schools will have advanced placement. Some of your audience might be familiar with the International Baccalaureate level of classes. This is like another college level type of class that's available not just in the US but around the world, hence the International Baccalaureate title. So if a student was taking, say, an AP advanced placement or IB International Baccalaureate class, that student, let's call him student B, is taking that classes and he's getting a B plus or A minus in that class. You compare them side by side without any other information. The student that's taking the standard level class but and earning an A, they might not look as impressive as that student who's challenging himself, student B, who's taking those classes and maybe earning a slightly less good grade. Maybe he's earning an A minus or a B. But the caveat here is that if student B was earning, say, a C or a D or even worse in that class, that's not going to help him. In fact, it's actually going to look worse because you're taking this harder, more rigorous course and you're not doing well in it. And so that's showing us as a college that you're not prepared to do that work, which is concerning because the thing that we want to see is that you're excelling in your classes, yes, but you're also taking the most challenging courses available to you. And that's the key. Whatever classes you're deciding to take, whatever courses you're hoping to engage in, you want to be able to take the most rigorous courses, most challenging courses available to you to show that you're capable of doing that work. Because part of the question I have to answer when we're looking at our students is that, is this person qualified? Meaning, are they getting like the good grades and things? And are they prepared to then do well at this college or university? And so if you're taking, say, you call them cheap. I meant to say like easier.
No. I'm sorry. In the first place, it's college. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. Just a little bit. A little bit.
Let's say easier classes, less difficult.
Easier,
classes,
yes.
Right? And you're just breezing through them. That's not that impressive. And less so even if you're like doing worse than them. But if you're taking challenging courses and you're doing well with them, that shows us that you're able to excel in college and that you're not going to struggle when you get there. And this is the hard thing because sometimes a student might look at the choices they have for classes and they say to themselves, I'm going to take the easier courses, keep my GPA high so that I can do well in college admissions. But we can tell if you're taking a slightly easier course, especially when the school and your counselor is telling us what is available already for you to take.
Wow. Yeah. So let's back to the merit base. Why do students, perfect? You were saying about how that's when this came in. How even if you got everything right, but the easier courses and the taking rigorous courses that is going to help you get there. Let's be back on that. So what should they do? What should a student do?
Yeah. So in terms of what a student should do if they want to advance in the process, so let's look at first this question about grades and classes. You want to try your best to take the most advanced courses available to you. If you're in America and your school has AP or IB courses, advanced placement or international baccalaureate courses, take as many of those as you can. In fact, try to exhaust those classes from your schedule. You want to be able to take as many of those courses as you can to make sure that you're showing the college that you're able to succeed. But importantly, you want to make sure you're doing it in a way that will still help you do well in those classes. Because there's no point in taking those classes if you're not gonna learn something and of course like do well in them. So you want to make sure you're doing well in your classes and then taking the hardest courses available to you. The other thing I want to mention is just if you're going to engage with these courses, one thing you should know is that you can also just take the advanced placement tests without having taken the courses. I know students who do this pretty commonly, actually, because not every school is going to offer every type of advanced placement or international baccalaureate test. But at least for advanced placement, you can take the test associated with that class without having taken that course. And that shows us that you're taking the initiative and taking the extra step to do well in these classes too.
So you mean if I take easier classes, to make sure my GPA is good, and also go ahead and take this advanced test instead of taking the whole course, and I get them right, like I do good on the test, that is also helpful.
Yeah, because at least with the advanced placement courses, there is a test associated with it. Yeah, this week every May, and you can sign up for those tests without doing the course.
Okay. All right. Thank you for clarifying that. So my next the next thing I want us to talk about is how family income. Like how much does a family income realistically influence the student chances of acceptance, directly or indirectly?
So most institutions are either need aware or need blind. So, what does this mean? When you're looking at different colleges and universities, the way they conduct their admissions is that they might be need aware, meaning that your ability to afford or pay for that college is going to affect whether or not they might accept you. The reason being is because a college knows that they can make money off a student in terms of tuition and just like fully paying for their classes if a student is higher income. Um, Whereas if you're lower income and you're applying to a need aware school, it won't prevent you from attending, but that is being taken into consideration as you're applying. And for a lot of colleges and universities, they have to be need aware because they just don't have as much money to give out to their students. But there is a select number of colleges and universities that are what we call need blind, meaning that your ability to pay, whether you have a great ability to pay, you're doing really well, and because you're listening to Uncle Patrick's podcast, or your ability to pay and you're not that able to pay the sticker price for tuition, um, that means that need blind means that regardless of your ability to pay, you will be able to have your application looked at and likely still be able to get in regardless. So some institutions are need aware, meaning that they are aware of how much you make and they consider that alongside everything else when you're applying. Some institutions are need blind, meaning that your ability to pay doesn't really matter. It's more so what you're bringing to the table, all your grades, extracurriculars, your essays, and everything else. Now, for international students, and especially for the folks listening in Ghana, if you're thinking about studying in the United States, you should know that there's only a handful of schools that are need blind to both international students and domestic students. And this includes most of the Ivy League. Need blind universities in the United States for international students are rare. There's only, say, like 11 of them. And the top tier include Harvard, MIT, Yale, Princeton, Amherst, Bowdoin, and Dartmouth. And Brown is going to also join this group. But there's also schools like, Notre Dame and Washington and Lee and Georgetown that will also give a lot of aid for international students.
Okay.
So you should be aware of that. But for domestic students, there are way more institutions that are need blind. And depending on how much you make for your state institution and for other places that you're going in the United States, you might be able to actually go tuition free. And that's a huge deal.
Yeah, I have a question that I got this like the first one we did, and somebody wrote it, so I'm going to read it as the person brought it. It says, "Do legacy admission undermine fairness, or are they just another form of networking?"
Legacy admissions. Yeah, there's been a lot of debate about this. Even as recently as this decade, there's been a lot of movement towards trying to cancel legacy admissions. California recently did away with legacy admissions. And for everyone who's listening, legacy admissions means that an institution will consider your whether a student's parents or other relatives have attended a school and will give some type of preference to applicants whose parents or grandparents or brothers or sisters or uncles or aunts have gone to that school. And that is that can be quite infuriating if you're applying to a school and you realize that someone who might have the same exact stats as you might have a slight preference over you because their parents went to that school. I will say that legacy admissions doesn't work the same at every school. And the way legacy admissions actually works for many schools is that it only gives a slight preference to those applicants. but it might not be the deciding factor. If you have two applicants of the same caliber, same GPA, same class rank, have pretty equal quality essays, and you're looking at both of them, sometimes legacy admission might help a little bit for one to tip the scale in one applicant or the other, but not always. And some schools will consider legacy admissions specifically in context of whether their alumni are active. That is, if they're giving back to
Yeah.
the school a lot.
I mean,
So, yeah.
go ahead.
Yeah. And so I don't know if that's really fair to say that, an alumni kid should get in over anyone else. But it happens. And the thing that you can do to remedy it is just do your best to stand out with all that you can. Yeah.
When you get to that point, that means
Yeah.
there's nothing you can do. Just do your best. But I think the Ivy League schools, those are very, very common. Legacy admission are very common, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you yourself, you went to Ivy League school, and did you see something like that very common based on your experience? Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's at all the Ivies you'll see this, that like, oh, my mom or my dad,
Yeah.
here they have all these accolades or service awards to the school. They have these ties. Someone has a building who's for their family.
How can you not admit that person if they have a whole building for their school?
Yeah, you can't not admit that person.
Yeah. And somebody is also, making a lot of contribution for scholarships and all that. I mean, so yeah, I guess. All right. So at this point, I'm just gonna get some questions that came to me after the first discussion. The next one, I think you just highlighted a little bit about this, but the next question was like, is the holistic admission process truly fair, or does it allow biases to hide behind subjectively? So it's more about holistic, admissions. Is it fair?
Yeah. So the question of fairness, I think, will always depend on the question, the who's asking it. Is it fair for you? Is it fair for your neighbor? Is it fair for everyone? Because if I were to give a yes or no answer, like you could say, no, it's not fair, because life isn't fair. But I don't think that is a satisfying answer, and I don't think it's the right answer. I think that holistic admissions means that everything gets looked at, and so it actually does help to consider the fact that everything that you're going to submit is going to matter. And I think that brings us to something that's more fair, because the alternative to holistic admissions, the way we do it in America, at least one alternative that I think a lot about, is the 100% merit-based system, something akin to what you see in the Chinese system, where you take a single exam, the Gaokao they call it in China, and this is a national exam that all students of age will take. It's a multiple hour exam, and that one exam score will decide your entire destiny. It will decide the type.
Yeah, same in Ghana. Same in Ghana. Yeah.
And so, it will decide what university you get to go to. It will decide what type of jobs you get to go to, and it will decide everything else. So we can just talk about this, like whether that's fair, because you can say, of course that's fair, because everyone who is going to take that exam has a fair shot. But think about it. Does someone living in Accra and, like, I don't know, Ascalon Hills or whatever, are they having the same experience as someone who is living out there in, like, maybe the Volta region somewhere with a village that only they know the name of? Are they really going to have the same opportunity to succeed based on this one test? This is not to say that the American system is without its flaws, because I can predict based on zip code pretty accurately your ability to do well in the American college application process simply based on income. This is to say that whatever system you're engaging in, you're probably going to have to deal with some type of unfairness. But what I like about holistic admissions is that it allows us to consider everything outside of and including whatever number you get on your test score. For that reason, I'm still a proponent for it, even with all of its shortcomings, like what we see with like legacy or athletics or any other of these issues that you're seeing.
All right, let's talk about diversity.
My favorite. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Last time I wanted to bring it, but
yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'll ask this question, but make it broader if you want. If you can't just go further, whatever it is. The question was: do colleges prioritize diversity for social impact or for branding and rankings? I mean, a lot of us, we know it's more about branding and ranking. They got to do it.
Yeah.
So, in your part, right?
Yeah.
Maybe where you went, was it branding, or was it you? I know you, so I mean, I can, but yeah. And we had this before, right? Especially Obama and all. Yeah. So talk about this. Is it just for that thing, or?
Yeah. I think it's a little bit of both. If we were talking, if the year was 1926 instead of 2026, well, I think we'd be having a very different conversation. I think we'd be having it in a very different way. But if we were, say, having this conversation about college admissions, the colleges we're talking about, the top schools in the United States, they wouldn't really be concerned about their diversity, except in the case of ensuring that they maintained mostly white, mostly affluent, mostly wealthy, mostly Protestant Christian, not Catholic, not Jewish, not anything like that, student populations. But we are talking in 2026, where even with all of the things that are going on with the Trump administration, with everything that's going on in a post-affirmative action world, affirmative action, of course, being preferential treatment, usually in terms of race, but it can also refer for like economics as well. We are talking in a world where for schools, it's both advantageous and in many of their views necessary to have a diverse student body. And the research in education shows that if you're in a diverse environment, you're actually going to benefit more from the diversity. Most of this research will confirm that, and that if you have people who are coming from different backgrounds, they can learn from each other, but only if they're in a place where they're actually going to learn from one another and be able to interact with one another. Because the other trap you fall into is when you have echo chambers instead of actual true diversity, where people are trying to talk across their differences. So it's a little bit of both in terms of like, is this more for social impact or is this more for branding? A little bit of both, because everyone wants to be, the most diverse or have all these types of superlatives of just being the most diverse or most welcoming campus. But in many cases, schools are genuinely concerned about making sure that they have representatives from every type of race, all 50 states, and multiple countries around the world. Because if you really want to be like a top tier school, it's important that you have people who are representing the best of the best, no matter where they're coming from. So that's why I think diversity is important. And then I'm also just going to drop this little piece of advice, because I really want to make sure that your audience does well. And I really want to make sure whoever you are, you are doing well in the college admissions process. So I just like to say this quote from the affirmative action decision. So back in 2023, the Supreme Court of the United States prohibited the use of race in college admissions, and effectively banned affirmative action in terms of racial affirmative action, that is preference based on race. And the Chief Justice wrote the majority opinion that was, how they decided the case. And he said this, that nothing in this opinion should be construed as prohibiting universities from considering an applicant's discussion of how race affected his or her life, be it through discrimination, inspiration, or otherwise. And the key, and this is the last part of the quote, is that the student must be treated on his or her experiences as an individual. That's the direct quote from the decision. And if you didn't catch that, don't worry. All it means is that we shouldn't, as a college, if a college is looking at your application, they shouldn't be looking at your race to decide to add preference. But it doesn't stop you as an applicant from talking about how race has affected you. You're more than welcome to do that. In fact, write all about how race has affected you if that's important to you. Mention it somewhere, because that will allow you to be fully you and allow us to look at everything in context, holistic admissions. So I say that even as like New York Times is writing about how some students are worried about that too. So yeah.
Wow. Yep, diversity.
Yeah.
All right, so the next thing is also close to the same thing. The next question that was it said, when he's talking about a first generational and low income student genuinely supported or just used as a statistics, is it the same? It's close to the same thing.
Mhm.
What do you think? Is it genuinely? Because sometimes is it we think it's just the same thing, like checking boxes, or just they really really want to help.
Yeah. You know, if you'd asked me this question like a couple years ago, like 10 years ago, I wouldn't be that sure. I would say that, they don't really care that much. But I would say that universities care a lot more about that, especially top universities. Um, why is that? And the reason why I think they care about first gen and low income students a lot more is because there are a lot of people who are criticizing top universities. Think of like what happened with Harvard and the Trump administration and all of the criticism that was levied against Harvard by many different commentators. That Harvard is a place for elites, for rich people only, not a place that people can go to thrive, or you can't realize the American dream. That you can't realize that. And that type of criticism was levied against a lot of like top schools because the perception is that they're not helping students to get from one place to another. They're not helping social mobility. That is that you're helping people of lower class get to a higher class. You're not helping poor students become wealthier and like richer and like improve their state in life. And so a lot of these universities have started to tune into that, and they're actually making targets for how many of these first gen or low income students that they want to accept, because it's important. It's becoming more important for them to show that they are engines of mobility. That is, that they are going to provide opportunities for students not just to succeed, but then to do better than their parents and to get better. Um, and I will give you an example of the American Talent Initiative. This is one like organization of a bunch of colleges who are working to improve the number of first gen and low income students that they have on their campuses and supporting them. Um, and we really want to see that that high achieving first gen low income students are doing better, because what we know is that it doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. If you have the talent, if you have the ability to do well, and if you have that resources and access to do well, you will succeed. And so how do we find these people? And so if you find yourself and you think you're part of that category, like I encourage you to apply to these places because they're looking for you.
Wow. I think I tell my folks all the time there are a lot of scholarship out there. Every year, there are a ton of them that people don't even apply for them. You see, at my church, And my, circle, usually time like this, I start talking to the young ones that are due in what is it, September, or is it August? Yeah. And I start to, tell them to apply for them, apply as much as you can, not just for a particular one, but start to hoard them. And some of them just tell me, point blank, Uncle, I'm not doing it. Why? Because they try one, two, they're done, But I tell them this is like a job. If you really, really want to go to school for free, you can, but you have to treat this like a job. Why? Because you have to apply for hundreds of them. And I believe in getting 500,000 from here, 2,000, 300, and you pack them. If I do that, I read in this book, what is it? Confessions of Scholarship. I think it's Kristen Ellis or something. Yeah. You know about her, right? Is it Kristen Ellis? Yes. She had what? 500K, right? 500K, But they tell me straight they won't. I'm asking you this, is there an easy way for folks to go to college for free?
Yeah. I think there is. I think if you want to go to college for free in the United States of America, you can do that. I think what's even more likely is that if you want to go to college in the United States of America for a heavily subsidized price, I think there's almost a guarantee that you can absolutely do that. The cost of college, don't get me wrong, is expensive. It's exorbitant even. It's insane, actually, how much you can pay for college. You can take out a loan for a small house, even in this economy, even with these interest rates. And you might actually not actually have that much more or less to pay than someone who's taking out loans to pay for their entire college experience.
Thank you.
That is insane.
Thank you.
That is insane. That is like, Uncle Patrick, that is insane.
Yeah.
Because I have colleagues who went to school 20, 30 years before me who paid less than 10% of that in order to go to school. It's actually insane. You would never see a bank sign an 18-year-old a mortgage.
Yeah.
But you can see plenty of
places
that will sign you lovely loans.
80,000 a year for 4 years.
Wow.
100,000 a year for 4 years.
It's incredible.
See?
Yeah.
It's amazing how they won't sell you alcohol.
Yeah.
Before 21.
Yeah.
But guess what? They will give you 400 grand for free to go to school. And it's going to look like it's free.
Yeah.
17-year-old. Then they're giving you, 120 every year.
Yeah.
To go, but they won't even sell you cigarette.
Right.
So tell me, how can I go for free?
Yeah. How can you go for free? That's what everyone wants to know.
Yeah.
So I think the first thing to recognize is that you can go to college for free, and you can also go to college for a heavily subsidized price, meaning that you're paying next to nothing for a quality education. The first thing you have to really consider before you even get to trying to apply for scholarships or financial aid is asking yourself, what is the value of education? That is, what is it actually going to do for you? If you're just looking to get an education to get a job, then you're actually better off maybe going to a school in state and maybe a local state college or even a community college for a little bit in order to get training and then
let's do this.
Yeah.
Our time is up.
Okay.
Definitely will come again.
Okay, I'll come again.
We are all urging to know, how are we gonna go for free? I know you went for free.
Yeah.
And not just ordinary school.
Yeah.
You went for Ivy League for free.
Yeah.
So we're gonna learn from you. So you're coming back.
Okay.
So let's put that aside right now and tell us, for the ending, in conclusion, what are you telling us?
Yeah.
And when we come back next time,
we
will look at how we are going to go for free. Because That's my preaching. I've been telling them they can go for free, and nobody believes me.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're coming from, so how do you go for free for a top?
No. Yeah, but we will say that
We'll
next
say
time.
that?
But
All right,
in
we'll say
conclusion about what our discussion,
yeah.
just
Yeah.
end it for us.
Yeah.
What are you going to tell the folks that are ready to go?
Yeah.
Now? Not for free for now. Now we will talk about that later on.
Yeah. If you're ready to go, like apply to as many places as you can. But the other thing you have to consider is you might be working somewhere and you can actually get educational benefits from wherever you're working, even if you're working part-time somewhere. Ask about that. And then apply for scholarships in whatever institution you're getting into. And then match your offers, especially if you're getting into like high caliber places. And you apply to places that actually offer competitive financial aid, because those places that have the highest prices but who have quality education often are the places that are also giving the most financial aid and most generous packages. So if you can find yourself at one of these schools, do your best and try to get into them, because it's more likely than not you'll be able to afford good you might be able to afford a good education because of the opportunity afforded to you.
Thank you. Unfortunately, our time is up, and that was the best part was just to come. You know,
Yeah.
so next time when we meet, we will
Mhm.
know, or we will talk more about how are we going to go for free. You know, the thing I've been saying for so long, and no one believes me that you can go for free. I know you did it, and so you'll be able to give us, guidance on how to do it for free. Again, we thank you so much, Tony, for showing up. As always, anytime we call you, you come in and deliver. Thank you again. Today our topic was U.S. college admissions expose merit, money, or connections. That's what we talked about. And Tony is coming back, absolutely, to help us to see how we can go for free, or to guide us how we can go for free. Again, paradigm shift. Here we teach you how to dramatically improve the quality of your life. Share, like, and subscribe. And also, if you want to get a live show on Wednesdays, subscribe to the Patrick Buffy YouTube channel, and you will get it. Not just subscribe and hit the link or the bell so that you get notification after that. So we're ending here, but make sure you spend wisely, save intentionally, and be generous. Thank you once again. See you